Well, I'm so glad that you were able to join for the road trip. This is super fun and everything.
I've always wanted to be a writer, even since I was a little kid. Tell the story that when I would think I was about five, I asked her for a stamp, didn't know why, and apparently I wrote a letter to Little Golden Books and asked them for an author gig.
Oh,
And they wrote me back and everything. I don't have the letter anymore, but they wrote me back and said, like, maybe when you grow up. So I guess there's something I just always loved books and writing and reading.
that's cute.
And so when I grew up, I actually went to school to be a teacher. I was a business and English teacher for about 12 years or so. And just over the years, I just always dreamed of writing
Cool.
kind of books that I wanted to read.
Can you tell a little bit about the book that we are featuring for the road trip?
So Third and Ten is it is in the Camellia rom-com series, and kind of sets the stage for not only the rest of the series, but just to kind of provide a setup for the town of Camellia, which is set in the Acadiana area. It's an imaginary town, but it has a lot of the characteristics of the towns that I know down here in Louisiana.
Okay.
And it's about JD and Tinley. And JD is a former NFL player turned high school football coach. And Tinley is midwife who comes back home after being away for a while to take care of her
And
nephew
then
E.
when you're starting a new project, what do you feel? Do you feel like the character comes to you first, or do you feel like the plot comes to you first?
Developing the characters is the most important thing for me. Um, in fact, author friends will probably tell you like the worst at plotting. I will try to develop a plot, but I end up changing my mind throughout the whole story as I have a tendency, as I start writing, let the characters be what they think they should do.
Oh,
Like once their really develops and their dialogue develops, they I could kind of hear their voice, I guess. Sometimes I realize like, no, I don't think that would say or do. And so I think I'm so character based me in trouble all the time.
Oh, that's so funny. I love how you put it that way. That's just, I love that. And so, what does a day in the life of writer Marie look like?
I'm not a time writer right now. I'm still just part time. So
Okay.
on some days I still work at my high school, uh,
Okay.
where my kids go as well. I'm a like a counselor now, so I do a little bit of everything throughout the day, and then when we get home in the after evenings, we go to ball practice or make dinner and do family things. And usually, after my kids are in bed, that's when I get to sit there with what me and my faculty call it my imaginary friend. When
Yeah,
I get to spend the writing process.
there you go. Okay. That's wonderful. And then, about how long do you write each night?
I try to spend an hour or two evening on writing or editing, which to me is not least of being an indie author, say is the marketing part.
Oh, sure.
So sometimes, I have to work on all the behind the scenes stuff and formatting and things like that. But I'll probably spend a couple of hours a day every evening working on it. And then on the weekends, I spend a lot more time. That's usually where I play catch up of it and might sometimes get tired of finish writing or they
Okay.
they have to develop some of these and they'll be like, we'll see you later because we know you're locked up with your laptop this weekend.
Where do you get your inspiration?
So I definitely try to base my characters and the setting on the people and the things that I know around my area. I also to convey like my Catholic faith throughout that. So I
Oh,
try to take a little bit of everything, I know or that I enjoy, and the people and the I'm familiar with, and kind of up into, you know, the new version of that or a combination of that. So like there definitely characters in my book are based loosely on some of my own friends and family, or that give them some of the struggles that I know I deal with or different people I know deal with. So I like to write even though it's a new.
right. Yeah. That makes complete sense. Yeah. I love that. I love that you said your faith also inspires you as well. So, how is it like in your writing that you feel um, like, I don't know, sometimes like for me at least, I feel like God will mention things or like share things with me, and then I'm like, okay, I need to write it out, write about that. But how are some areas that you feel like in your faith, like you also are adding to your writing and everything like that? I don't know.
I was going to literally going to say, what a great question that you asked
Okay,
that.
good, good.
Um,
I was hoping it came
like
out
something that's
exactly how it's
really,
trying.
oh no, I think I understand what you mean, and something like that's really near and dear to my heart because
Good.
when I decided to start writing, thought even though my books, I have to add this caveat, books are not like traditional Christian races. They're a little different. Um, but I definitely wanted to convey those elements and at least those underlying themes overall,
Yep.
but in an allegorical way and maybe not such an obvious way.
Yep.
And so if I'm not with I feel like the Holy Spirit is telling me should or shouldn't be writing about, then that's a big deal for me.
Yes.
Actually, I try to spend an hour each week in adoration in
Oh,
front of the Blessed Sacrament and you know do some journaling and prayer time, and that's when I get a lot of my inspiration.
oh wow.
So I also check in with friends that are Christian and very strong in their faith to make sure that they they understand like what I'm trying to convey, that the message doesn't get lost in sometimes, because like I said, it's not I try to be quite as like in your face
Right.
about the about those things. I just want to make sure the right messages can.
Yes, I love that. And I love too that you're saying that, it's like not right in your face. Like I feel like that's the strongest kind of, Christian fiction when someone who isn't familiar with it could read it and maybe isn't like, oh, this is blatant Christian novel, but like they read it and they might come away with hope or a seed of something that is like, okay, I feel better after reading that. I'm not sure why, but it's because like the truth that was in the word in your story is affecting them. And I just love that.
And that's exactly what I'm trying to get to. I really I wanted to write books that Christians could feel comfortable reading, but also non-Christians or even fallen away Christians, anybody. I write books for sinners as much as I write books for Christians.
Right.
I want them to give some of that, even if you don't always make decisions in whatever part of your life, that you get something that's relatable to you in a way that you can still connect with God, and whether it's through forgiveness or received from Him, and whatever you have that up to see go through that process.
Mm,
At the same time, there's other real life issues, like family and love and um, jobs, whatever that's on your plate at the same time. Because I feel like most people, um, even in the Christian process, it's rarely ever you just wake up one day and say like, I'm coming one day, I'm going to give my life. Like
yeah.
we're all dealing with worldly issues, and so I wanted to play those kind of stories with, or kind of slide that in within um, the conflicts that you would see in a romance novel.
Right. Oh, I do love that. That's great. And I love your heart behind it too. So that's just great. Yeah, that's wonderful. And so since we're on a road trip, if your characters at the end of the book were to go on a road trip, where would they go?
Um, I think if JD and Tinley were on a road trip, it would absolutely be to go to New Orleans because they're not somewhere to watch football.
Oh, okay. Very cool. I love that. And then what kind of snacks and treats would they bring with them? Because of course, a road trip isn't a road trip without that.
Um, so Tinley has a weakness for cinnamon candy. She's definitely bringing a pack of Red Hots with her for her road trip snacks. And JD is a Cajun boy at heart and he likes to eat. So I would imagine he's going to stop at the first place he sees, and pick up some boudin and crapplins like a good Cajun boy would.
Oh, of
And
course.
that's what he's snacking on the way to the game.
Oh, that's so funny. I love that. That is just wonderful. And what area of Louisiana do you live in?
I live in South Central Louisiana. It is kind of dab in the middle of between Lafayette and Alexandria. So I'm kind of like in an area where we have this really strong Cajun accent and like this very in-depth culture. But it's not quite the same as like the that people associate with Louisiana towards Baton Rouge, New Orleans. We
Right.
we love that version of it as well. But it's a little different here, I think, than it is over. And so for us, like the food is a huge deal, but our food tastes the same as the stuff you'll get in New Orleans.
Okay, that is really cool. I love your accent, by the way. I just love it. I just find it so interesting how every area in the world, I mean, in the country even, how everyone has like, similarities and then some, so some huge differences and stuff. But I love how that sparks inspiration for their books and just makes everyone so unique and awesome. So I just love that. And so you pull a lot of that like Cajun, like the food and all that into your stories too, then and everything.
Mhm.
That is so cool. I love that.
Yes.
So if you were to go on a road trip, what is one book that you would bring with you? And this book is a book you've visited throughout the years, and it's kind of you keep going back to. Kind of a hard question.
I think about that. Like if I knew I could read it over and over again and never get tired of a book, I'd have to say, and that's really hard. Such a hard question for me
I
because I'm a
know.
literature teacher too. Like I taught AP literature for
Yeah.
years. And so like I have the particular list of classics that I could like read over and over again and never get tired of reading. And then I have, you know, like my junk food kind of reads, like the same thing that, that I could just always read and never get tired of reading, but it's lighter and not as heavy or whatever.
Sure. Well, if
Um,
you want
I
to, you can pick
guess
one of both if you want.
okay. Um, let's see. I think maybe like a classical read. I know this is gonna sound very cliche, but I'd probably go with like Hamlet or maybe even The Crucible. I know there's are plays too, but because as a teacher, I read them so many times, like probably hundreds of times with my
Oh,
kids, and
yep.
every time I read those, I get something new out of them.
Very
You
cool.
know, like another depth to their allegory and another
Oh,
phrase that I was like, I see what you did there, you know. Um,
yep. That's cool.
and and I like Pride and Prejudice, of course. It's one of my biggest inspirations. Gosh, I don't know, like for something that I guess I've reread lately over and over again. I've been really into the ACOTAR series. I am a fantasy lover at heart too, and Lord of the Rings, something I've reread
Totally.
multiple times since I was a kid. I think I'm a serial rereader. That's the problem. That's why I would have such a hard time narrowing it down.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. It's so funny though, because I've asked some writers and they're like, I don't really reread, but there are a lot of people that do reread. Like, look at you, and I know I've reread. There's just those favorites that you have that you love going back to over and over again. And sure, you wish that you could pay to reread it for the first time. But
Yes, yes.
it's second best, right? Being able to read it again.
Yeah, I definitely am a rereader because I feel like at least two or three reads until I really get um everything. Like I want to appreciate everything the author put into it.
Yeah.
And it takes multiple reads, I think, to get through all that,
Mm.
all the Easter eggs.
I love that. And since you said you love fantasy too, I know that you have only published contemporary stuff right now, right? Are
Right.
you planning on ever doing fantasy too?
That's a great question. I think if I ever thought of myself as a writer when I was younger, it would definitely have been in fantasy or
Yeah.
romantasy. Um, but as an adult, I just didn't feel like I had how do I say, the brain capacity, I guess,
Right.
the to like the leftover function, I guess, after like a day at work to
Oh, sure.
write something as deeply detailed as, like a deep fantasy kind of thing.
Sure.
So I would never rule it out. It would be my dream to write something like that.
Right.
I don't know if it's coming anytime soon. Um, I think I'd have to be later on in my career whenever, my kids are older as well and they don't need me as
Sure.
much. Um, and I also really like the idea of, again, like one of those genre bending type of, not quite fantasy, not quite sci-fi, but also romance, like a Outlander series. That's
That's
also one of my
cool.
favorite rereads too.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
um, because it's different and you're not really sure which genre it fits into or doesn't fit into anyone particularly, but I love like the time travel stuff and all that.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that's fun. Like the time travel and the portals and the history. And yes, it's kind of fun to have all of that thrown together. And yeah, that's fun. Because it's kind of, set in our world, but it's different,
Yes,
right?
but it's
Like
different.
here they're going back in time, or here she's still in love with the guy back in our time, or back in history, or yeah, super fun.
I love I love it. It gets better as it goes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The books, the series, the TV series, like spin-offs. I love the idea of like a series that's so good you can make spin-offs about it, you know?
Yeah. Pretty strong there. It has a strong base there to be able to do that. And that's really cool. Awesome. And so since you live in Louisiana, if people were to come to Louisiana for a road trip, what would you tell them they definitely have to see?
Ooh, I feel like there's so much to see because I know it sounds crazy because people think like little old Louisiana, but we are so we're so different across the state. I really do feel like we're not like a whole country by ourselves. I know it sounds crazy, but like
Awesome.
we're so different than anywhere else. So of course I'd want to show friends to New Orleans and to like see that part of our culture because it's
Mm,
beautiful out there and it's just like the biggest melting pot ever. It's the best because you get so much of like the Cajun culture, the European culture, the African culture, the Creole stuff all mixed together, Native American stuff, everything, like everything you can imagine out there. I love
yeah.
New Orleans. But at the same time, I'm a South Central Louisiana girl, and so and I went to UL, go Cajun. So I think we have like so much to offer in that area. Our food is way better in
Oh,
this area. So I'd want to bring them to New Orleans to see all that too, but then I'd also want to bring them to the Acadiana area to see like our old churches and to have some food with us, listen to the music. I have family that plays in traditional Cajun music bands. Um, my actually have my family that makes traditional Cajun food, and that's like a big deal around here.
wow.
So I'd want to feed them for sure. Like that's the main
Of
thing.
course.
I'd
Yeah.
want them to come to a get together so we could feed them. That's a number one.
I love that. And what are some of the big like dishes that you guys really like that are very Cajun that I mean, I'm from North Dakota, so I mean, I've been to New Orleans a few times and I have had some things here and there, but it's completely new to it.
So, like I said, like the New Orleans kind of food is different than our food.
Sure.
It's good, but it's different. So, like focusing on like our Cajun food or our version of that. The number one thing you'd have to try is boudin, like I said. And I talk about some of this in my books, especially in Third to Ten. Like I said, my family makes traditional Cajun food, so
Right.
my dad's business is called T Boys, and people know them for their boudin and cracklings and stuff. So
Cool.
it's kind of like dirty rice in a casing. Sausage and tasso are some of our favorites, like in a sauce piquant, rice and gravy, gumbo. The way we make gumbo here is different than what you might find in other parts of the state.
Okay.
So those are some big ones for sure that
Yeah.
we'd have to get you to try.
That sounds amazing. When I've been doing this road trip, this virtual road trip, I've been wanting to hop in my car and drive all the places and just see it. So I've been joking that I might have to do like a real road trip or at least sections of the road trip here and there. Be super fun.
For sure. And when you come down to Louisiana, you have to let me know because, like I said, I could never let a friend come down and not feed them. You have
Oh,
to leave with a
totally.
full belly.
I would so be up for that. That sounds amazing. I'm a foodie, so I love that. Well, can you tell where people can find you and so they can come and support you and get your books?
Sure. You can always connect with me. The easiest probably is Instagram. My handle is at Marie V Writes, because it's really hard to pronounce Veillon and spell it correctly. So, Cajun names, they can find me at marievwrites.com. My books are in Amazon. They're in Ingram Spark and some small booksellers around the country, especially in the Acadiana area. They're in quite a few places in here. And then on my website, I do sell like special editions with sprayed edges and things like that. But
Very
you should
cool.
be able to find me easily online and connect. And I love to share not just information about my books and what's coming up with my writing, but also things about my Cajun culture and my faith and everything too. So
Love that. I just love that. I just love how you've taken like your Cajun culture, your relationship with God, and your love for writing and telling good stories and just throwing them all together. So that's a really good blend up. And hey, they say write what you know, right? And
Mhm.
then you have your own little flair to it as well, which is just perfect. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you have a lovely rest of your day, and I will talk to you later.
Same to you. It was great to meet you.
Yep. Yeah, nice meeting you too. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for riding shotgun on the Romance Reading Road Trip. I'm so excited for you to be joining this journey with us. Be sure to go down to the video description below and sign up for the passport. You're not going to want to miss out on it.